Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and the image that you see behind me, it is the cover page of an upcoming album which is called The Resonance Between. And what it is, we will learn more about it from the wonderful Sarodist and Sitarist. So Alam Khan ji, who is grandson of Alauddin Khan Sahab and son of Ali Akbar Khan Sahab, uh, collaborated with musicians, including the key sitarist Arjun K. Verma ji. So I welcome both of you together. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste, Ashokji.
Thank you very much for joining us. We go in a reverse order. So we begin with this moment when your new album is about to reach, and it has offerings which are mystical as well as innovative, rooted in the tradition. So let's begin with you, Arjun. How it makes you feel uh, the resonance between what it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a pleasure for us to finally be able to share. Alam and I have been working on this for a long time, and Alam led the charge on this project initially. I'll let him say more about that. But we had been thinking for some time, how to present music that would express our unique life experience, which includes being, of course, Indian classical musicians, but as well being musicians who grew up in America and being Indian Americans ourselves, both genetically and culturally mixed. So we ourselves have a wide variety of influences in our musical and our lives. And so this was an attempt to express that sonically, one type of combination in that. I grew up listening to Western classical music and Indian classical music. And so this, for me, is like a combination of my two great loves of these types of music.
Wonderful. So, Alamji, a similar question to you, but I'll add talk to us about how this title, The Resonance Between, was finalized. And if I um, loosely translate resonance with Anunad, or so there is a resonance, and then we go to Anad ka Naad, where so this resonance between kind of suggests that there is this musical silence, and perhaps you are aspiring to explore and share that.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Ashokji. Namaste, everyone. The title is taking an optimistic approach towards the state of the world is one of the angles. The other angle is the resonance between the instruments and the art forms and the culture, and being steeped in Indian culture and tradition as well, and going to India every year, touring, seeing my family. Both cultures are intertwined. So there's a resonance between that. There's also confusion between these things, of course, between any culture, any place like that, any kind of musical form, there can be confusion, but I'm wanting to look at the positive things. And after, the pandemic and all these kinds of things where people are separated, we were all separated quite a bit. Though we were together online, we were separated physically. I like to lean into the connection that human beings were yearning for and that they were deprived of for all that time. So that resonance between human beings, despite our differences, what is it that connects us? And what is that kind of, how do we express that feeling? So there's the resonance between people, there's the resonance between the instruments, there's the resonance of the sympathetic strings on our instruments, the sarod and sitar, which have many sympathetic resonating strings. So all of these things together kind of came into the title of the album.
So, Arjunji, both instruments are very difficult instruments in one way, be it sitar or sarod. And when you are collaborating with Alam, who I would say you have known all your life, probably both of you.
Almost, yes.
Both of you having learned from Ali Akbar Khan Sahab, and first of what are the unique, distinct features of sitar which
Mhm.
made you stay with sitar? Of course, you got it from your father, Roop Verma ji, but still you could have shifted to sarod, but you prefer to
Yeah,
stick
it's a good
to.
question. It certainly crossed my mind. I mean, when you're lucky enough to learn with, one of the, if not the all-time master of any given art form or instrument, there's a desire to imbibe and emulate that as closely as possible, including doing everything the way they did it. I mean, can think of some students who would go so far as attempt to imitate the signature of Ali Akbar Khan and things like that. So it certainly crossed my mind. And I even, mentioned it to Kansab at one point, should I try? And he said, no, 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 you stay with this, stay with the sitar. And then I realized over time that, okay, yeah, each instrument has its different qualities, but also there's all kinds of different universes you can discover within the instrument that haven't maybe been explored. And so in some ways, in addition to playing sitar in the way that it's known, I've been exploring, well, how can I bring the qualities of the sarod into that? How can I bring that warmth and that singing kind of quality? And so that's been part of my exploration there. And also, and I'm sure Alam will add to this, this project is also helpful in a way to educate people about, putting these two instruments side by side and showing clearly what's their similarities and difference, because sitar, for historical reasons, has become a little bit more well known in the West and sarod less well known. So here in this kind of project, you can see very clearly, here's what the sarod looks like, here's what the sitar looks like, here's what they sound like.
Yeah. So both of you forgive me, and all of you are mute for now. What, as a layman, the sound of sarod, just just to define it in some way, I'll say that as compared to sitar, it is more masculine, masculine in nature, probably.
Hmm.
So while you are working with both instruments and creating such beautiful music, as you were listening to your own instrument as well as the instrument of the other, like in your case, Alam and Alam, you listening to Arjun Ji, how was it for you? Was there any additional conscious effort required as compared to when you play solo Alam Ji while collaborating with Arjun?
Um, I'm used to it very much so because Arjun and I and many other students at the Ali Akbar College of Music, my father's music school, we all we spent many years studying and learning at the feet of our guru and my father. So all of those sounds of all those other instruments in the room with one another was very commonplace. It was just natural. So I don't necessarily approach it differently. Growing up listening to the famous jugalbandis between my father and Pandit Ravi Shankar ji, Pandit Nikhil Banerjee, Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahab. These kinds of people, the sarod and sitar has always been a complementary balance as instruments. So it's more of just about pushing forward the envelope of creativity and contemporary approach of combining these instruments. But other than that, it was in the mixing process and the process of blending together the instruments on the album. It was about finding that real nice balance and the resonance between them and making it all sound, cohesive, balanced, well-rounded, all those kinds of things where both instruments could shine and they could show their individual sonic range.
So I'll take the liberty of sharing a part of the music video on this album, so our viewers get some idea as to what to expect, and we won't give away the complete track, but just it's very creatively made video also, and the background of the location and all. So we will take a look very quick.
This was filmed near, basically, in our home area in Northern California.
Remove that part because it will kind of take away everything. But it's very difficult to stop it once you start listening to it. So I did that difficult task so that we can continue the conversation. And now
Thank you.
recollect the this particular period when you were filming it, and you said this location is near where you live. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is so just as Allah mentioned, the Ali Akbar College of Music, which of course is a very special institution for us, founded by Alam's father, late Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab in 1967. So this his choice of location in Northern California near San Francisco kind of became a magnet for all the great pundits and ustads of our music to come here. You know, to this day, legends like Ustad Zakir Hussain, Pandit Chopin Chaudhry, they live in this area because of that work of Maestro Ali Akbar Khan. And thankfully, he chose a very nice area. So it's also surrounded by natural beauty. And of course, Alam, having grown up here and myself spending the majority of my life here, it soaks into you these kind of not only the oceans and the cliffs and the hills, but also these ancient trees that we have here and this kind of thing. It's all the context in which we learned this music from the maestro. And so it's kind of embedded in our cells in a way.
So Alamji, being away from India, but I guess you were frequently returning back and feeling the the vibrations of Bharat. Yet, if I may ask, was it difficult for you uh, to sustain that purity of Indian classical music, being in the western part of the world, and what were the challenges that you faced as a student, and later on now that you are teaching, because the mindset matters as far as purity of music is concerned. Yeah, Alamji.
Yeah, no, that's an important question. Well, as far as maintaining the purity of the music and all that, there was never a question about that because my Baba, my father, Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab, was everything for me, and he was my guide. He was my lighthouse. I refer to him as that anytime I'm lost or seeking direction. I just look to him. So everything about India, the culture, the music, the ragas was right there in him being expressed to me and guiding me in my home. And I was born and brought up here in the San Francisco Bay Area. But yes, we return to India often. And I've been touring in India for over 20 years, so, and the rest of the world as well. But the thing that is difficult about being brought up here in regards to Indian classical is you don't see the school children that you go to school with talking about it. It's not regularly on the television or in the news or in pop culture, besides the famous references to Ravi Shankarji and the 60s movement and the sitar and stuff like that. But the community that was created here, as our June was speaking a bit about the Ali Akbar College of Music community, there are now 3 generations of families that have come into existence since the beginning of the school in 1967. There were the original students. Some of them met each other and had children. They grew up amongst this community, myself being one of them, and my father met my mother here. And then again, now we have children as well that are growing up amongst this community. So it's we have our roots firmly planted. And so many famous musicians like the Grateful Dead, Carlos Santana, um, um, just Western classical, all kinds of blues, jazz, all kinds of musicians frequented the college and were kind of attracted to my father like a magnet. He just attracted these people because of the person that he was, the spirit he was. He was, he was one of the greatest musicians that this world has ever known. So they were all just coming to be around him in his presence, soak in his energy, receive his blessings, whether they were studying formally or not. So with that all being there, we had such a strong community and seeping the tradition of Indian classical music and the culture of India, the manners, the etiquette, different things like that. All of that was very much a part of our lives. And now for me, being a teacher and all that, I follow the same, or I try to at least follow the same formula, not really a formula, but the same approach, the ethos, the aesthetic that my father and my dadu, Acharya Baba Alauddin Khan Sahib, did before. When you focus and you study honestly, with dedication, and you listen to these gurus, then it becomes a part of you, and it's just a natural thing that you do when you teach. You're just continuing their spirit. My father always referred to my grandfather. He would always say, when people complimented him, Ustadji, so incredible, incredible, you're playing. He said, it's nothing. I'm nothing. I'm a messenger of my father. And so I'm a messenger of my father and my grandfather, and we continue like this.
Beautiful. So that beautiful tradition continues. And Arjunji, I've not met Ali Akbar Khan Sahab. I've only heard his name so many times, and of course have seen his pictures. And I kind of felt a very cheerful energy emanating even from his eyes while you look at him. I'll connect two sides. One, music is always associated with harmony. So I would also say that as a musician, you are music is like yoga or yoga, as we say. So there is a sense of inner harmony in the context of relationships also. So with that background, talk to me about your relationship with Ali Akbar Khan Saab, or how music sort of trickles down in your day-to-day life, Arjunji.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, this music is like a yoga. I mean, now these terms are very popular nowadays, things like nada yoga and things like that. But they're not buzzwords to us. This is a part of the ancient tradition of the music. And Kansab would tell us, in olden times in India, that even in medicine, meaning doctors and healers, they would be trained in music as well as part of the therapeutic package. And though it's a different topic, I think we can see nowadays in medical research and such things that more and more things that help the human being as a whole are being validated, that yes, they actually benefit your health. These kind of soft types of things. So that background is there, and absolutely, as you said, it is all about the harmony and the aim of the music is to give you a sort of peace, to give you a healing, to give you and not in an abstract sense. We all experience some pain as human beings. We all experience some trouble. We lose people. We have challenges in our work, our education. Everybody is suffering, right? And so this music is designed to be a friend and a helper with us through all of that. I think all of us who've grown up with this music, not only playing but listening to it, it's been something that's been with us in not only our greatest celebration moments, but also in our darkest hours. This music has been with us as a friend to carry us through, right? So, and then as far as connection with Kansav, I mean, so many people were lucky to know him because he was very generous with his time, and I would say his own personality was an extension of that he was authentic and very deeply caring, and not superficially so. He wouldn't smile just to be polite, this kind of thing. He deeply cared about people, and he showed that in his actions and in his music.
So there was, I would say, there was a kind of intensity also in his looks, looks also. And Alam Khan's Discipline is very important in learning as well as in teaching, and the kind of lifestyle that we have, it is increasingly becoming difficult with a lot of distractions for kids. I want to combine two parts of different things, and you read newspapers and you see what is happening in the world, and there are things which are not harmonious, and then the term communal harmony also comes about. So the contemporary issues, as they are unfolding as challenges for the world community, also in India, do you see, as an artist, it affects you in some way which creatively is translated to kind of address it? And in that context also, I personally felt when the resonance between have certain silence which comes, and there was this profound question, whisper of a girl child sort of a voice: who am I, मैं कौन हूँ? So how uh, addressing the basic question for all human beings are integral to the resonance between Alamji.
I think that the point, one of the purposes of making this album and the conceptual nature of it was that quest, that journey, the seeking of one's identity and their place in the universe. So the resonance, Baba always used to say to me that, and to all of us, that this music is the shortest, quickest path to the divine. So, divine, God, whatever God you believe in, gods, the cosmos. I felt like he held the cosmos in his hands when he played. He was a channel for this to come through and be expressed. I thought of him as kind of like a priest or shaman, if you will, of music. And when people would come and watch, it was like he was doing a sonic prayer, and people would sit there and feel the reverberation of what was happening, and in turn have their own profound experiences with this vibration, this resonance emanating from him. And he would always refer to himself as not as an entertainer. He said, this music is not for entertainment. And I'd like to elaborate upon that a bit more, to say that yes, maybe the core purpose of the music isn't for entertainment, but the music is entertaining. There are many elements that can be entertaining, so they don't have to be exclusive, the entertainment and the more inward kind of search for the divine through sound. So it can start out like that, a very much of an internal journey, a prayer that others are partaking in by listening, and then it can develop once the tabla comes in and the interactions come. There's a playfulness between both instrumentalist and tabla player. There's discovery. The audience is engaged with their remarks, their vaz and kya bats and all these things, and there's laughter. So it's not both things. You can't live your life only as a, I guess you could be a monk, very serious and a renunciate in a cave, but also you might have children, you might have friends, and you want to talk and converse. The music goes through all these kinds of things. But I think the most important part of all this is that it's trying to express and touch upon something that is bigger than all of us. And I'm not sure if that answered the original question, but
It did. It did. It actually. It was very profound. And now, as we conclude, I'm going towards the slightly lighter side. But before that, I just want to make maybe two, three lines about what you said. I think this the resonance between also helps us as listeners to get to that silence, which we lose in the noise of the day-to-day activities. So it is. I think it has come at a very right time, and it's a very important offering that you have given us. So I want to thank, as well as I wish many people to be able to cherish this creative expression. And in the lighter side, when you guys want to chill, it is not always Indian classical music. How do you do? And do you hum, sing, or any favorite song that both of you while walking to here might be singing something like that.
I think for me and probably for all of them as well, there's a way in which Indian classical is kind of always going. Sometimes I find myself in the day that I'm feeling a mood, and if you asked me to put words to it, I couldn't. But there's a melody that's actually just forming in my mind that exactly expresses my mood. Doesn't always happen, but it's a frequent occurrence, right? But as far as, chilling and hanging out, I certainly listen to a lot of jazz. I like a lot of contemporary global music, West African music, things like that.
I like listening to Indian classical music. I like listening to a lot of other music. I make other music as well. And I also, as I get older, like to not listen to music. I like to have the silence
Yes,
because in that, their music comes out. So, I find myself feeling the most relaxed in that piece when I'm in nature, where we shot this video on the mountain, in the trees, at the beach, at the ocean, because I think two things in life, nature and music, are very much related and convey the same kind of thing. They're made from the same thing, which is something that's bigger than all of us. You just go, wow, this is incredible. I can't even takes the words away.
beautiful. So, on that note of respect and appreciation of silence, I'll just repeat that the resonance between releases on 8th of September, and indeed the website will take you to more details which would be helpful in reaching out to an important destination. The resonance between artist Alam Khanji and Arjun Verma ji joining me, thanking them with lots